Let's see. Okay, and we are live. Let's see. Oh, that's too much light, but it's not so bad. Okay. Hi, and welcome back to another installment of ENTP Life's live editions, where we are talking about how to start a home care agency. Now, the way that this usually works is that I put out a video every Sunday, and on Sunday, it's kind of like that sets the tone or the theme for the week. I really cover a few topics here on this channel. I cover, I guess, a big piece of my following is investing or buying cheap properties in Italy. I bought two of them for really little money. So a large audience comes along for that. Another big piece of my audience comes along for learning how to invest in real estate and other kind of business ventures. And another big chunk of my audience is here to learn about healthcare staffing and home healthcare. Just to give you a little background on myself, if you're new, I am a serial entrepreneur and ENTP personality type. There are 16 personality types, and I just happen to be an ENTP. So this channel was really designed to kind of give the public a bird's eye view, or maybe even a more intimate view of how an ENTP functions on a day-to-day basis. And a big part of my life is business and entrepreneurship by coincidence. And I really talk about how to hack your way through life so that you're able to make more money and do more of the things that you actually want to do with your time, right? So one of the big themes here is really going out, making money so that you could go ahead and live whatever your dream life is. For some people, that's living abroad. For some people, that's early retirement. For other people's, being a multimillionaire and all that comes along with that. So that's what I'm here to teach. My experience in home health and healthcare staffing starts back in 1996. So now it's about 25 years of experience. First working in the family business, then going out and starting out my own home healthcare agency, employed thousands of people, currently employ several hundred. We do okay, multi-million-dollar revenue business, and looking to kind of grow that to maybe into the hundreds of millions and dream into a billion-dollar company. And one of the things I get asked a lot is, how do you get started in home health? How did you get started in business? So I decided that I was going to do an entire series on how to start a home healthcare agency, because it's kind of like there's not too much help out there for healthcare entrepreneurs. Those who are healthcare entrepreneurs kind of are tight-lipped for whatever reason. And I felt that I could be helpful to the public if I show them a pathway to at least get started. How they scale their business is entirely on them, but I can show how to get started. And I've just started doing this series because I'm in the process of starting, or I've launched another home healthcare agency in Florida from scratch. So I was like, it would be perfect for me to cover my journey of starting a new agency and showing how I've done that and kind of going through it step by step, right? So this week's video, I covered what it was like to have our Medicare survey. Not every home healthcare agency is going to be a skilled agency where they accept Medicare. I hope I said that the first time, Medicare and not Medicaid. So we went through our Medicare survey. There are three, leaders in the space: CHAP, ACHC, and JACO. So we went with CHAP accreditation. We are officially CHAP accredited. And I talked about what that Medicare survey was like, how to prepare for it. And that pretty much gives us the blessing to start billing Medicare. So that's where we are now. So these live sessions are really meant for you guys at home. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, I highly recommend that you do subscribe. Like I said, I cover everything that I know in home healthcare, healthcare staffing. I'm also starting a healthcare staffing training program. So if you are interested in that, just make sure that you email me. I'm going to put my email in the comments at carl@solacelapierre.com. Make sure you put in the subject line staffing agency so that I can filter you out appropriately. I've got the course built out already. Going to start filming probably next week. And I should have the final production ready for you guys by the end of June. And then we're going to be going live with that. So I'll show you how to start just the healthcare staffing side, which is a little easier, substantially easier than starting a home healthcare agency. So I'll pretty much show you guys, and it's really a very similar business as far as scale and the ability to make money, except far less liability and far less risk, far less regulation. So for those of you who are interested in healthcare entrepreneurship, you want to have a workforce, you want to stay in the healthcare space because you're already a nurse or you're in it, or you think it's a sexy industry, kind of recession proof, et cetera, then that might be the course for you. So definitely check that out. Yeah, so these sessions are meant for the subscribers and the people who are tuned into whatever my topic is to be able to ask questions in greater detail than I've covered, okay? Or things that they may have missed in the past, or maybe even things to come in the future. And I've also have been asking questions on Instagram, like in Instagram stories, on hold on a second. Yeah, so in my Instagram stories, I have been asking questions where, block that light, where, I'm going to bring those Instagram story questions to the lives, okay? And I got to add to my story. Hey, it's Graham. I am now live on YouTube as promised. My cell phone is busted as of today, which sucks. Long story. But anyway, come on to YouTube so that you can join in on the live and get your questions answered regarding healthcare staffing. Hey, it's Graham. I am. Okay, perfect. So, all right. So the first question that came in is from Markeisha Bunn. When and how do you start marketing for clients? Well, you can, just to be clear, marketing for clients is really the process of identifying how you're going to target people or where your customers may be. And I know people use the term marketing as advertising the same way. But your marketing process should start even before you get started, right? You should be identifying what are your potential referral sources for the type of business that you're going to be in. Are you going to be a exclusively private pay home healthcare agency? Are you going to be a skilled home healthcare agency? Are you going to be a Medicaid agency? Are you targeting long-term care plans, both private long-term care, and private long-term care insurers, or the managed long-term care plans? All of that's going to dictate how you go about targeting your audience that you expect to be your customer, right? So if you're looking at a private pay company, you're going to be focusing mostly on upper middle class to high net worth people, because they're going to either have long-term care insurance policies or the free cash to pay for their personal care, right? You're going to be charging $20, $25, $30 an hour for the services. Not everybody can swing $30 an hour for help, right? So the type of people who can are going to be the upper middle class and high net worth people, where $30 an hour is not changing, their expense model too much, right? If you're targeting skilled work, then you need to understand that the majority of your referrals are going to come from the hospital or institutions, as well as physicians that are dealing with clients that are going to have skilled needs after onset of new disease, surgery, certain disease types. Like cardiologists are really good for potentially generating home healthcare referrals, orthopedic surgeons as well, especially on the physical therapy side. So if you're targeting the Medicaid population, right, then you potentially are going to need to find low income, because Medicaid is a state entitlement for low income people. So you're going to first have to target where low income people who have this home care need, potentially enroll them into the managed care plans, maybe even enroll them into Medicaid. So your entire operation is going to be different depending on what customer group you're going for. But once you've identified what type of agency you're going to be, what customer segment you're going to be, then it's just a matter of deciding what is going to be your best method. Now, all of this should be happening as you're first getting, just even thinking about starting an agency. Now that your agency has started, or you're in the process of getting licensed, if you can't service those clients legally, then you can only kind of start priming the engine in a way where you're talking about getting started and you're talking about what you're doing, and kind of get a sense of who's willing to work with you, whether you're building community relationships or not. But if you start getting referrals for services and you're not legal to operate, it's like a chicken egg sort of debate. You're going to need to decide, what's the appropriate time to start building the framework. Now, in a lot of states, you're going to have to provide pro bono services prior to your survey date, so that there's something to survey to see, are you Medicare ready? So you might start marketing for these pro bono patients, these patients that you're going to service for free. So you either are going to go to community sources, churches, food pantries, senior centers, and flat out say, I am running this agency. Does anybody require these services? I'm doing it for free for 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, whatever your time horizon is, and start getting patients that way. But you could also be building relationships with institutions that may have patients who have the need but don't have the payer, right? They don't have Medicaid, they don't have Medicare, they don't have private insurance, and they need help, right? We got our patients that way. And that was the beginning of relationships with social workers in hospitals and people in the community that are now where eDbook exists. And since we were doing them a favor by digesting these patients that would otherwise go unserviced, you build an in with them. And when the time comes to service all their clients, you can. Okay, so I hope I answered your question, Markeisha. Second question that came in is, how much is it to convert a property to a senior care center? Not my business, so I really don't know. I would say I was looking at a company that did this, but they did it with private homes, and they did it with upper class community, and it was costing them about $200,000 to get every house ready. So that was the renovations of the house to kind of bring it up to, modern standards, adding all the safety railing, the handicap accessible ramp, handicap accessible bathrooms, things like that, railings. So I think I mentioned that. So fire prevention systems, alarms, doors that required key access, so you don't have anybody who elopes from the home. And I was in the private homes, so larger 3,000 square foot type homes. But as far as like converting, let's just say you were trying to do a 100-bed facility, I've never done that, so I have no idea. Okay, so I answered Markeisha's questions. Any other questions coming in from those of you who are in attendance? And there's 13 people here and only 5 likes. Don't be stingy with your likes. Make sure you hit that like button. It really helps me out because it will start pushing this live to other people who've watched the home care videos, right? Because that's how YouTube works. The more engaged the audience, the more the better they think the content is. Because YouTube doesn't push out the alert to everybody that I'm live. It first pushes it out to people who've liked and watched my home care videos, but not all of them. And the more people who are here, it's like they kind of sample the audience to see how engaged you are. Okay, we're at 10. Come on, 15 likes. Can we get 15 likes? Everybody like this damn video. So yeah, so they use that data of how you're interacting with this video to push it to more and more people. It makes more sense to be talking in community than it to be speaking kind of just to one person. Obviously, one person can benefit, but the more people who get this message who are in this process, the better. And each of you are going to have different questions, even some questions you wouldn't even think to ask. Somebody else ask it, you get a lesson, right? I'm not doing one-to-one consulting right now. If I were, my rate, is kind of high. So these opportunities it's like free consultation sessions. They're not exclusive to you because it's obviously shared, but if you have questions, you should be taking advantage. Okay. So I'm going to go to Instagram to see what sort of questions came through from the yeah, because I don't know how to use Instagram so well. I've got the questions. So the first question was, would a healthcare staffing agency need to be a Medicaid provider? And the answer to that, this is from Savvy Business Chick. So Savvy Business Chick asked, would a healthcare staffing agency need to be a Medicaid provider? The answer to that is no. As a healthcare staffing company, you are billing the company. It's a business-to-business service. So just to kind of give you how, like the schematics of it, we use a nursing home as an example. A nursing home is going to be accredited by JACO, CHAP, ACHC, whatever. That accreditation is going to allow them to bill Medicare, potentially Medicaid, depending on the state. And most private insurers are going to expect you to be accredited in Medicare credentialed in order to even be in network and pay you, right? If they pay for skilled nursing admissions. Okay. So that nursing home or nursing facility is in contract with those payer sources to provide a service, a bed, and skilled nursing services or nursing home services to that particular client. They need staff to do that, right? So when Savvy Business Chick goes on maternity leave and they have 12 weeks of an opening, they will hire a staffing company to fill that gap, right? So I turn around, I send them a nurse. That nurse is working under the license and accreditation and all of those things of that facility. All you need to do is send them a qualified employee, and they pay you for that qualified employee, and you pay that qualified employee for the work that they do, and you make a spread between what the nursing facility is paying you and what you're paying your worker. So you're not billing Medicaid or Medicare or any of those payer sources. You're billing the business themselves, who is billing the payer source. Okay, so when you go into healthcare staffing, and this is why I say it's easier and probably the better route for most people, is you don't have to deal with the credentialing bodies. That's not your business. You don't need to deal with the state surveys. You don't need to deal with any of that. All you need to do is recruit and find competent staff and handle your HR functions and handle your billing functions, right? You're going to need a way to collect their time and attendance. You're going to need a way to get your contracts. You're going to need a way to handle your payroll. And you're going to need a way to find people to work for you. That's it. You don't need to worry about regulations. You don't need to worry about injury to your work. Well, you need to worry about injury to your workers through workers' compensation insurance, but you're not going to have to worry about maintaining general liability insurance for that particular facility, right? You're not going to have to worry about the state knocking on your door about, are people being treated properly, or your sheets properly clean? The things that they do, that's not your concern. Patient charting, not your concern. Even if your nurse is there doing a crappy job, that's not your problem. That's the nursing facility's problem for keeping them on the unit and allowing that crappy charting. So I would, just to answer your question, you do not need to be Medicaid credentialed or Medicare credentialed or credentialed by anybody unless your state requires you to be registered in the state, like in Florida, for instance, right? A nurse's registry must be registered. Some states don't have that provision, and it may only be for nurses and not for physical therapists or x-ray technologists or in respiratory therapists. It may only be a nurse thing. Nurse aides may not fall under that scope. So, you would check with your Department of Health, your state Department of Health, to determine whether or not your operation is going to require a license. It usually does not, because you're functioning under the license of the facility that you're servicing. The nurses registry, from the way that I see it in Florida, I haven't set up a nurses registry. I've set up a home healthcare agency in Florida. But from what I could see, that nurses registry enables you to do some contract work as a home care company and kind of skirt around registering as a home healthcare agency. It's a little lighter, a little easier process if you're providing one-to-one care, companion care, non-skilled. They allow that. But if you were exclusively staffing hospitals, for instance, it may not be required for you to be licensed, because, ultimately the hospital is responsible for that employee and ensuring that employee is compliant prior to you sending them. So, you would check with your state to determine that. And I hope I answered your question. Okay. Very next question. How much does it cost to start a home care agency in New York City? HHA, CNA to start. Damien, first piece to that question is they are not issuing any new licenses in New York. New York is starting to consolidate the industry and actually force people out of business. So if you're a little guy, you're going to get, dissolved in a way. So if you want to get into the New York City market, it's going to cost you at minimum $150,000 to buy someone else's license. Right now, a broker that I work with to kind of buy and sell home care agencies has a client that's looking for a license. I know another guy who brokers the licenses, actually one where I bought a license from, and he has a license right now for New York City and Westchester for sale, over $200,000. No patients, no contracts, just the ticket to operate. So if you're interested in that, email me. I'll make the connection, and you could buy a license and get in the game, but it's going to cost you $200, $250. If you negotiate something better, maybe $180, $175. That's the end at this point for New York City. So you might want to consider a different state. Connecticut is cheaper and giving out licenses. Pennsylvania is easier and less expensive. So let me know. San Moores. I'm in Colorado and can't seem to find out what special license I need to start a home care agency. I reached out to the secretaries, they don't know, and they couldn't help me. Go to your state Department of Health. They'll tell you, because they're going to be the ones who govern licenses within the state to operate a healthcare business. Also, you can email me. I can introduce you to a consultant that all they do is set up agencies. So they'll know exactly what to do in your state. And that's going to save you time, and time is money. So reach out to me if you need. Just if you're going to reach out to me for that, just make sure that you mention consultant, home care agency consultant needed in the subject line. That way I know, and I'll filter you to that source. Yeah, God bless, answer that. These people are slow out here and can't give me straightforward answers. I'm in southern Colorado, by the way. I sometimes feel I am better off starting in New Mexico. You might be. And yeah, the government officials are always kind of slow like that. And sometimes you need to ask the right question. If you call the Department of State, the Department of State is only dealing with corporate matters. They don't know. They don't care what, they're not into business licensing for subspecialties. They just know what you need to do to register your LLC. So Department of Health typically regulates licenses for home care services and all healthcare related licenses. So you're going to contact your Department of Health, and you can even search it. Home healthcare regulations. Search home healthcare regulations, Colorado, and I guarantee you that the regs that are governing them are going to be on some Department of Health website of some kind, or whatever your agency is called in your state. And then you could just start clicking around and find information on how to start, apply for. It's going to all be there. Google is your friend. Ariane Edwards. Okay, Optiplex MD, I sent you an email requesting for mentorship or medical staffing. Perfect. I'll get to you. Once the course is ready, you'll start to get my spam. So if you sent me an email, I got you. Ariane Edwards, how much money should you have to start a home care agency? I would recommend most people start with a minimum of $100,000, depending on your state. If you're expecting to grow aggressively and quickly and a good organization, I would bump that number up to about 300K. That way you're attracting good talent, you're employing people, you're not figuring things out as you go, you're paying for consultants, you're doing things right. Costs you easily 300,000 in your first year. But that's probably the right way. If you're going to be a little more conservative, 100 grand. If you're going to try to do everything yourself, maybe 25,000, maybe. But on the other end, a healthcare staffing company, you could probably get started for 2 grand and be ready to start doing business. You would need more money to cover payroll, but you could start with just as little as 2,000. So you pick your poison. I keep telling you guys, the reason I'm doing the course on healthcare staffing is because it's lucrative, it's easier to start, lower cash threshold. Most of you who are thinking about home healthcare, unless your heart is in home healthcare or you have extensive experience, I wouldn't start one. I would start a healthcare staffing company. Community Solutions Pro, probably saturated. It's not saturated. There's still plenty of business to capture here in New York. You know, there's millions of New Yorkers. The market is big here. So, and they're all aging. So it's not that. The issue is that there's about 2,000 agencies in New York. And each of these agencies get audited every 2 to 3 years, or surveyed every 2 to 3 years by the Department of Health. There is no CHAPS for the licensed home care agencies, okay? You can be CHAP accredited, but it doesn't make any sense because it's not a requirement for any payers or anything like that. The requirement in New York is that you're is that you are licensed in New York, and that's the basic threshold. So the state is responsible for all the surveys. They usually send 3 to 5 people in to do the survey for 2,000 people every 2 to 3 years. It's a heavy lift. So if they had less agencies, it's easier to oversee, less resources. So that's the reason why. Hey, this is Jay Mason. Hey, I have a question. I know you I know you bought a property in Italy, on the island of Sicily to be exact. But how do you feel being a black man owning property in a country where you don't speak Italian? Obviously, I feel pretty damn good about it. My blackness is not a disability. It is not this uncommon thing. The concentration of melanin in my skin, it doesn't prompt me to make any sort of decisions. It doesn't make me restrict myself to certain places. It's not like if I go to Italy, I cannot breathe the oxygen in Italy because I am black. I cannot eat the delicious pasta because I am black. I cannot learn Italian because I am black. I cannot use Google Translate to communicate with people because I am black. I cannot talk to Italians, where most Europeans are cross-educated in English more so than Americans are cross-educated in any other language. So chances are, if I start talking to somebody in English, they can respond to me with at least some helpful words of, I don't speak much English, but maybe that store can help you. The guy in there speaks English, and they're very nice people. Do not come talking to me on my channel about blackness, okay? It is absurd. I don't go around talking to people about whiteness, Asianness, and how does that influence their decisions in life. It's a really dumb concept. It's a concept that exists. Unfortunately, racism and race constructs exist in this world. It's something that people made up to kind of justify certain actions, I guess. I don't know. But I don't govern myself by these absurd rules, right? If I'm threatened based on the color of my skin, right, then whoever is threatening me must be prepared themselves to die, right? Because if you're gonna, whether it's because of race or trying to rob me or whatever, if you're gonna put me in harm's way for whatever your intent is, whether it's a hate crime or crime of passion or financial benefit, you better believe that I'm gonna respond with equal or greater force to protect myself. So somebody's racism in Italy, they better be ready to die that day because I am. So that's my thoughts on that. Ariana Edwards, can you start a nursing agency in New York State, or are they phasing that out as well? New York State has no license or anything for nursing agencies. It's completely a private business. There's no license. There's no regulation. None of that. 3 watts. So you're basically saying you can be a contractor and subcontract. You can be a contractor and subcontractor work. Yes, that's exactly what a staffing firm is. See, people use those two terms wrong. This is a staffing nursing agency is not technically an agency. An agent charges the employee a fee for work that they get them. Think sports agent, movie agent. That athlete gets a contract, the agent gets a cut from the contract. Different. They use the term agency, but it's not truly an agency. It is a staffing firm. A staffing firm is a contractor that subcontracts work. An agent is someone who finds the worker, finds them work, and then charges the worker a fee for finding them work. Different thing. Then there's placement agencies too that could charge either or. Either they recruit and charge a fee for placement, a one-time fee or two-time fee or whatever, for finding the employee that they're looking for, or sometimes people who are looking to get placed will pay the headhunter to find them the job. And that's more of a service, specific service. Da, 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 da. Can you start a nursing agency in New York State? Or no, I answered that question. When does your staffing agency course start? I believe it's going to start last week of June or first week of July, somewhere around that time. I haven't set a release date, but that's the target. Any thoughts on partnering with someone to start a home healthcare business? For reference, I'm a newbie trying to map out the logistics to start this thing. You don't know what you don't know. Any thoughts on partnering? Why would I partner? This is gonna sound like a jerky thing to say, but it's totally the truth. Why would I partner with someone who doesn't know what the hell's going on? What do I get out of that partnership? Just a liability, right? Are you saying that, hey, I get capital, I'd rather take your money and invest it in my company rather than having to coach you and educate you and make sure that you're running the business process? That's just more of a, personally, that's just more of a headache for me. That would be just kind of like community service, I guess. Because what's going to be the real benefit? If I got you started, let's just say, and I took some equity in your company and I trained you the right way and you grew out that business, I'd rather take my time and effort to find another more established agency, buy it and optimize it, than start with you from scratch, hope that you succeed, hope that you stick with it, hope that you're well capitalized. Nah, man. You get what I'm saying? I think your best bet is to partner with someone who is looking to get started like you, but may have relevant experience. So a nurse who has assistant director of patient services role, always wanted to start in the business, bring them on as your partner. Someone at my level would not really do that. Randy Rosales, the shameless self promoter, and this is exactly who you need to be. Randy is, I guess, friend / family member, who has expanded his business from being hired to function as my on-call coverage to a organization that employs dozens of employees in Venezuela, servicing home health, IT, billing, communications, all kinds of companies with high quality bilingual Venezuelan staff, also Colombian and Argentinian now. So his business is growing. And what you see him doing here in my comments is outright and shamelessly promoting his business. If he does not do that in his business, none of you ever see his comment. None of you ever get interested in his services. None of you know he exists. So when you're starting your agency, whether it's home health care, staffing, you must raise your hand, make it be known to anybody around you, I am in this business. Because they may not be looking for a home health care agency. They're young and healthy. They think their family's in good shape. But one day, maybe a week later, they get a text from their friend. My mom just had a stroke, man. I don't know what to do. She's paralyzed on one side of her body. That guy, ENTP Life, or that dude, Randy, or this person in the comment section, or this guy that I was just talking to at a bar, was talking about home health care. And my friend needs this. I don't need it. They may need it, and the connection's made, and you have a client. So if you're not out there talking about who you are, what you're doing, you're not going to get clients. I mean, that's just a fact. So he has cost-effective, and now he got me talking about his business for 5 minutes. He has cost-effective workers that, if you're looking to outsource, whatever, you should give him a call. He's actually helping me find a nanny right now. Pink Light, you're welcome. People who are not well traveled don't know that Black people are all over the earth. I guess. Or, well, they also don't know, they don't have a different viewpoint of the Black experience in other places or the human experience in any other place to realize that so social constructs are not the same everywhere. A woman's place in society may vary from country to country. Their role, their contribution may change. Children, elderly people, all how they perceive people. Sometimes people can only imagine a world as they see the world. They can't think abstractly or kind of say, hey, I wonder what it's really like. Does it change? They don't have that abstract ability. So unless they see it and experience it for themselves, they have a construct that's developed by their own viewpoint, I guess. And it's not to insult them. It's just, as a Black American, obviously I'm conditioned and raised from the time that I entered the schooling system that I'm Black, that I'm somehow historically a second-class citizen, all this crap, right? That is already building my social identity. Just like I'm a male, I wear collared shirts, I'm supposed to shave, things like that. These are the social constructs of my place. But the race social construct is such an absurd one and such a debilitating one that when I start getting on the topic, I feel like it's partially my responsibility to talk to people who have this debilitating belief about themselves. No different than a woman who thinks she can't be the CEO of a company because that's not woman work. I would say many women are more than qualified to do that work and would probably do it better than men. So it's just, I don't like to see people who have self-limiting beliefs, because ultimately they just sell themselves short at this fantastic thing that we call life. You should be able to go out there, manipulate this world the way that you want, squeeze it for every juice, every drop of juice that it has, and really live in exciting times rather than building walls for yourself to stay, boxed in. No. I'm totally offended by that person's question. That was totally rude and ignorant. Thank you for handling this ignorant question with dignity. You can't be offended by stuff like that. It may be, that question can come from a genuine place. It could come from a place of confusion. I don't take offense to it, right? I just use it as an opportunity to maybe have a conversation from a different viewpoint than they're used to. Maybe it gives them the confidence to be different in themselves. It's you shouldn't. I mean, that's not even something to get offended by. It's like somebody talking to you about the earth being flat. Say, okay, it's not flat. And I think you should know that's not flat, so you don't go around saying that it's flat and people judge you for that. Just like people can judge them as being racist, ignorant, not worldly, or not traveled. But it may be a genuine concern because they live in a world where they were traumatized because of this racial construct. It could be the result of that. God bless 1, 2, 3, 4. This became really really quickly. Whatever. Yeah, I guess. Hey, Carl, good to see you, bro. Likewise, Ricky. DJ J. How much revenue would you estimate for a home healthcare agency to bring, assuming a workload of 80 patients seen a month? So, quick math: average patient, let's say, is going to be 30 hours of services a week. This is blended between those who are getting 20 hours, 15 hours, and those that are getting live-in services. So let's assume 30 hours of services. And let's also assume a billing rate of $25 an hour. And let's assume there are 4.33 weeks in a month. Your average billings is going to be around $3,000 a patient per month. If you want to just use gross numbers, you times that by 80, you're looking at $240,000 of monthly revenue. Times that by 300, you're looking at $1 million a month. I'm evaluating one company now that's doing 1.5 million in billing a week. So it's there. If you're billing Medicare, let me bring that back a bit. The average Medicare billings per month is only $1,800. That's kind of the thing I don't like about skilled. The revenue is fairly low. It could be as high as $3,000, depending on the acuity of the patient and the diagnosis and all that. But the average is $1,800, right? This is a bundled payment. Average episode is, 60 days or even 45 days. So you're looking at $1,800 per month, $3,600 for that episode. So 80 patient census, call that about 160 grand a month in billings. But the profit margin is larger. So you're looking at maybe like a gross margin of like 50%. Could be even higher, depending on how you manage your staff and their ratios and what the expectations are in their production. I seen an email. I sent you an email. Have you started sending out info on it? No, I haven't. If you haven't received an email, I haven't started sending it. God bless 1234. Is it wise not to pay yourself for the first 2 years in the business? Should the funds be listen, man, if you can do that, then you don't pay yourself, right? And you should reinvest those funds into advertising spend, revenue producing activities, right? Rather than eating that money. So if you're able to start very lean, you have a secondary source of income, yeah, you shouldn't pay yourself. For years in my home care company, I was only paying myself $10 an hour because I had other revenue sources and I worked evenings and nights, and I didn't want to take that money out. I'd rather spend, the extra what I would pay myself in the salary of 2 marketing reps, right? Each of those reps, if they even produce 50 patients a year, are adding about $750,000 of value to my company. If I spent $60,000 of them to do that, I'd rather spend 60 grand to create $750,000 of value any day rather than spending it on myself so I could get slightly nicer things. I don't know. I'd rather live in a basement apartment and live very, very tight, or drive an Uber in the evenings to make, ends meet, while all the money I generate in my business gets reinvested in staff. Freelance Latin America on YouTube. Yeah, check them out. Thomas, what's going on, man? Welcome. Hope you're still around by the time I get to this point. Hope all's going well. Damian Roberts, how or does AB5 law affect your healthcare company? Let's see what the hell AB5 is. AB5 law. AB5 employment status. New law exempts many from AB5, popularly known as gig worker bill. Gig workers, companies must use a 3-pronged test to provide workers or independent contractors. Oh, listen. Okay, so this is a 1099 W-2 discussion. I don't 1099 any of these employees. I treat them as employees, so there's no gray area. I don't get sued down the line. A true independent contractor, in my opinion, is someone who maintains their own workers' compensation, someone who has their own entity, someone who's truly working independently. Business, true business activity. I'm not going to have an employee on a schedule working at a facility getting 1099. If a nurse were to come to me and say, "Hey, I want to be a 1099er," right? I'm going to tell them set up an entity, and I'm going to contract with your entity, and that's going to be the relationship. You have a corporation, you are an employee of that corporation. I'm paying your corporation for your services. That's the only way. But if it's a person, social security number, no. If you got a social and you're working for me, you're a W-2. End of discussion. Sandmores. If you are offering quality services, fair prices, a needed service, a person's race, color does not matter. When you have your niche, it does not matter. People need this service. Stop it. I don't know if that's, yeah, I don't know if race was brought up in that, but yeah, it's if somebody doesn't do business with you because of your race, maybe that happens a minority of the time. That's just anybody's personal bias. They may not do business with you because of your religion, your tone, you're too heavy, you're too thin, you're too muscular. Something about you skews them out. That's their right. But if you're providing a quality service, and people tend to choose based on real things like the soundness of your financials, your business acumen and savvy, your compassion, your ability to perform. All the biases are usually the result of ignorance. Once you get past that, people tend to value you based on you. Someone who can't get past that is so dumb that you're not going to be able to do business with them. Even from MAGA man himself, who used race and divisiveness, that dude only cares about the bottom line. In my opinion, he's not a racist. He just was playing into the social construct of race in America and did it very well. Ethically, he's immoral, but I wouldn't consider MAGA man a racist. Namaya Harris. How much capital to get up and running? I'm talking about bare bones, the minimum. In what industry? Home healthcare? Bare bones minimum, you're probably looking at 25. Bare bones minimum healthcare staffing, you're looking at about 2,000. Randy Rosales, thank you for answering. Maybe, you know what? Maybe Freelance Ladara should open up a division of healthcare staffing consultation, getting agencies up and running, and a turnkey staff. Wouldn't that be dope? Also depends if you want to do everything yourself or hire advisors, local admin, etc. Blah blah blah. Yep, he's absolutely right. Man, Randy, I love Randy's story, man. It's like entrepreneur ice cream or gelato. To see someone who, as a foreigner to this country, looking for his own opportunities, develop a business that works, and increasingly develops business acumen to continue developing his business and giving other people advice is freaking awesome. And that's kind of why I do it as well. There's a reward to see people take the idea and extrapolate it out. Yeah, this is very satisfying to me to see how that happens. Doing home health care, can you start with just you as a nurse and an aide until you grow. Basically, what staff do you recommend to start a home health agency? You could start as a one person show, but it's going to be a heavy lift because then you're going to, if you're a nurse, particularly, because you usually have to have a nurse on your staff. So you have to have one nurse, one administrator. It's a typical format. A nurse solo shop could be nurse and administrator together. But obviously, an administrator who doesn't have a nursing license cannot be a nurse. So at minimum, you're going to need one person, but then that's going to mean that you're going to be doing your marketing and sales, your billing, your nursing, all your administrative work, payroll, onboarding of staff. You're going to have no time to actually business develop. And that's why when you start bootstrapped with no money, and this is why, like, maybe 90% of home healthcare companies are doing like less than $1 million in revenue a year. Because they start out like that. They start out undercapitalized by themselves. They burn out, and then they just go there. This is too hard. Everybody is not sharing the secret sauce with me. I can't get a loan because we have no business history. Most businesses fail because they start out undercapitalized, don't reinvest money into the business, and just have poor business acumen. And a lot of healthcare professionals have really poor business acumen. They tend to care about people more than they care about money. So they fail. So I highly recommend that you get this idea of doing it alone, not taking on partners, not taking on capital. You're not going to win, or very rarely are you going to win from that system. Like look at my family business. One of the main reasons that we were able to succeed was because primary income wasn't the healthcare staffing company, and it wasn't the home healthcare agency. Mom was still a practicing nurse. When I was in college, I studied X-ray technology, became a CT, MRI technologist, X-ray technologist. We worked while working on the business so that we're not taking cash out of it, able to reinvest more cash, put money back into the engine, grow organically as much as we can, maybe use our personal credit to finance things at times. So I would never start like that again, right? The way I started in Florida, even though it's way bigger spend, I think I might be like 250,000, 300,000 in between everything, between purchasing licenses in New York, paying for staff, paying for. But my core team is now incrementally growing, right? From $0 in rev to now doing probably this month we'll probably do like 36,000. I guarantee by the end of the summer we'll be clearing about 100,000 a month. By the end of the year, maybe we're on pace to have a trailing $2 million a year, and that's gonna get even more and more aggressive as I raise capital, push more capital back in. So the $300,000 spend, by the end of the year, I should have a company worth easily, let's say, by that point, I probably have a company worth like 1.5 million. Another year, probably worth 5 million. Then following year, 20 million. You get what I'm saying? So you need money on the front side, man. That's really a big piece of the gasoline. Okay, so let me see this. Where else are we? I'm gonna answer the rest of these questions, and I'm out of here. I need to eat. Okay. My license inspection is tomorrow. Do you have any advice? Well, congratulations from getting to that point. You're in New Jersey. Be organized. have all your policies organized, understand what your policies say. Make sure you have all your signage up, your labor law posters, everything that's expected of you. I don't know if you have a consultant who's helping you get started, but the surveyors usually have a checklist of what they expect. So if you had a consultant, they should have kind of gave you what to look for, but your labor laws, your workers' comp, all your policy and procedures, understand them. Your initial admissions packet, a sample, patient chart, all these things you should be prepared so that and have them and know where to get them. So when they ask for something, you got it for them. That way you don't seem like a bumbling idiot who shouldn't have an agency. You get what I'm saying? So, and then just, don't be nervous, and try, do your best. But this is why you should have consultants. So they prepare you so you're not kind of shooting into the dark. Hi, I don't know what that means. Next question. Good luck, Nikki. Okay, what are the requirements to start a medical staffing agency? This entire series is on YouTube. You can watch it from beginning to end, and that is the requirements. It goes over the requirements. It varies from state to state. You're welcome, Randy. How long does it take to get approved as a home healthcare provider with Medicare and Medicaid? From beginning to end, budget 12 to 15 months if you're kind of moving along well. Will you be doing any medical staffing agency Q&A sessions anytime soon? And do you offer one-on-one mentoring for medical staffing? So I'm actually doing a full all-out medical staffing course. Email me. If you scroll all the way to the top, my email address is over there, carl@soulsuperior.com. Email me there. You will then be on the list to be notified of what's going on in healthcare staffing. I'm going to have 2 to 3 options. Cheap option, mid-grade option where it's a little more expensive and you get more help. And I may even do a fully turnkey setup. I don't think I'm going to start with a turnkey setup because I'm going to have to get my own kinks out with my program, right? Once I kind of see what people want, where they get stuck, then I'll say, okay, let me start with a turnkey solution where I give you everything you need for a particular state, one package, one kit, one price. And then I'll have like some mentoring options. Maybe for a different level, you get a certain amount of hours, or you don't get one-to-one. You might be in a group of 10. If you pay for a high level, you might get one-to-one. My earning potential is about $900 an hour. So I'm not doing one-to-one consulting for much less than that. I usually keep it down to $450 an hour if I do one-to-one, just to kind of make it more reasonable. And I don't like to do it because I have to prepare for it, and then I charge a retainer, and then people can't afford it, and they have way higher expectations. But if you look at, legal services, medical services, highly skilled instruction, that's what it costs. So one-to-one, highly unlikely, but definitely groups will be available, and some turnkey and consultation options there. And since I get so many questions about healthcare staffing, I'm going to monetize it. I'm not going to just continuously give information out for free. Sometimes people don't ever act on that information. Sometimes paying for the information really puts the battery in somebody's back to go forward. So, but yeah, so look out for that. Just email me, and you'll definitely get information, and you'll see if it's good for you or not. God bless you for helping others. And I'm talking about taking their money. Well, God bless you too. I'll take blessings from God, from the universe, from whatever deity. I'll take it. Stone Inspiration. Yes, my first live. I made it. Welcome. Any questions? Does your current nurse administrator do consultation work? Uh, he's thought about it because he feels that you know he does. Well, he does consultation work in the hospital optimization space. But if you hit him up now, he's too busy, and I don't want him doing consultation work for other people. I need him doing my work. Um, what equipment do you think needs to be bought when starting a home healthcare agency like DME supplies? All depends on the type of services you're doing. Obviously, you're going to need PPE, but that's pretty much it. Your cases will dictate what supplies you need to get. Um, make sense on working while you're building a dream. Yep, absolutely. Enjoy your lives. Have to go. Thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. I like when people are here. We get to talk and make sense of the world. And if you guys, the 23 of you who are here, if you're not part of these 26 likes, 22, make sure make sure you click that like button before we close this out so it gets ranked well. I think you should make a business checklist on how to open a home health business. There are a lot of steps. You want to go about it in correct order. Listen, and those steps are going to vary from state to state. And I'm not making that list. Your consultant should make the list so that you know what to do. I took the personality test. You're an INTP. The mad scientist. The architects of the world. Yeah, cool. I agree at home here. Jeff Aldana, thanks for answering. Any idea when those packages will be available? Yeah, June. June is the target. The end of June is the target. We're almost in June. I have to film, edit. I've been watching you for 2 years now, and you have inspired me to start my own home care business in Maryland. And I just started working with my consultant. Your videos were very helpful. And I think we're closing it there. Stone Inspiration, you are an inspiration for me. It's comments like that that keep me going. Honestly, I get a really big kick out of seeing people take the ideas, the things that we talk about here, package it up, make it real. I think that's all ENTPs. ENTPs like to bring these ideas into the real world and say, bam, I did that. So if I'm able to talk ideas to you, you go out, you make it happen, you are successful. I'm part of that story, and it makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside. And that's really what I wanted to get out of this channel when I created it, was a way to inspire people to actually get out of their skin and do something amazing, right? And every time I see those success stories, it reminds me that, my advice and my thinking truly works, even for myself. Sometimes I doubt myself. Like, can I really build a $300 million agency? Can I really do it? Sometimes I doubt it. And sometimes I say, man, look what I've done already. Why can't I do it? Look what this person's done. And, so I need that kind of feedback to keep myself on track too. So thank you very much for the kind words. Thanks for validating that, the things that we do here and talk about here have some meaning and purpose for others. And, as this channel continues to evolve, I hope that I could get, more clear on who I am, what this channel is about. Ultimately, the channel to me is a place where I inspire people to live their personal dreams, either because I taught them how or they're seeing me do it in my life, and that's enough encouragement for them to say, you know what, that thing I always want, even if I can't teach them how to do it, I at least jumpstart them to do it. That's my overall mission with this channel. So, Humble Legend, you're late, but you're able to rewind and watch it all. DJG's, do you prefer chat versus HCHC or joint commission? I like chat. They're quick. They have a pretty impressive young management team. So they're kind of moving the culture of the accreditation bodies in a new direction. So I would recommend chat. I worked with ACHC. They're nice, a little antiquated. Behind, maybe COVID hurt them in that way. They're less expensive than CHAP, but I like CHAP's service so far. And ACHC we had, and we switched to CHAP. And yeah, I think the culture at CHAP for younger companies, newer companies, is going to be more fitting. So CHAP is who I recommend. Jayco is just not nice. All righty. Peace. Like, subscribe, share. Bye.